Hi everyone, welcome to yet another episode of the Gargi Arya show. And today we have an English communication expert with us. Her name is Miss Loretta, and you know what? She is an English communication mastery coach for the working professionals, teaching them all the techniques for working professionals to enhance their communication in English, and how can learning English actually give you confidence in life to do anything that you want to. And her one liner is always that she helps and empowers working professionals to communicate in English with confidence to empower not only themselves but all the people around them. So, thank you so much, Loretta ma'am, for being here on the show. It's such an honor and a pleasure to host you here.
Likewise, Gargi. Likewise, it's a real pleasure. I feel honored to be, with an amazing person who charges India with her power, with her knowledge. So I'm honored to be with you.
Awesome, great. So, like, my first question to you is, what was that point or triggering point in your life which actually gave you the start that you know what I want to? This is my inner calling. I want to help working professionals with English communication.
Yes. So to answer your question, what I felt was right from this time I started as an English teacher, and then I moved on to be a corporate behavioral trainer. I felt that I was meeting many IT professionals, and just not IT, but working professionals from the pharma, from the banking industry, various industries. And I felt that they were very good in their niche, within their competencies, right? They had their sound technical knowledge. But when it came to facing clients overseas, when it came to meeting their leadership team, they found it very challenging to express even their best of ideas. And I felt, that this gap can definitely be filled in. And that's where I put two things together. One is my passion for the language and the experience I come with as an English language trainee. And secondly, the need, the struggle, the pain point of many working professionals struggling to express their ideas. So I felt that needs to be bridged, and I felt that was my calling to really empower working professionals in India. And that's why my mission is to empower 1 million Indian working professionals in English communication mastery.
Awesome.
Trust
Thank you
that
so
answers the
much.
question.
Thank you so much for sharing it, because I believe in what Blair Singer says, that you know, when you realize that you have a gift inside you, it becomes your responsibility to share it with the world. And that's what you and me are
Very true.
also doing. So thank you so much for the
Absolutely.
mission you are on. My next question to you is, what are some of the challenges people face when it comes to communication in English, and you know what strategies we can follow to improve this?
Great. So, to answer the first part of your question, that is the challenges, what are the challenges they face? The first challenge I always identify in our learners, and I identified that in myself also, right, is the inner challenge, the challenge within yourself, the fear of communicating. We know what to say, we know how, even sometimes how to say it, but the fear of, can I say it? Will I be understood by others? Am I speaking the right English? Right? We fail to understand that as non native speakers, we can make mistakes. There's nothing wrong in it, right? But people think I have to be perfect when I speak. So I feel the first challenge is the fear within to express, right? So if they're able to understand that it's okay to make a mistake, we can always learn, we can always rectify our mistakes. I think once that thought process comes in, you are already, you've conquered half the battle through, right? The second challenge I find with most of our learners, and even when it comes to myself, is identifying what is my challenge. Where is my problem? Is it speaking, or is it understanding, or is it comprehending the accent, or is it even to speak fluently? So I feel I only think I don't know English, I'm not good in English. That is so big, that's a macro fear, which is not required. You need to understand, okay, where is my challenge? Where do I find it difficult to really express myself? So identifying the area or the skill set, to call it very specific, which skill of mine needs really attention. I think once I'm able to identify that, I think I'm able to really focus and improve on that. So that would be the second challenge, the inability to identify which skill where I need improvement. And the third most important challenge, which I predominantly find in my learners, is the ability to give that focus, right? Desiring is one thing. My mentor Siddharth always says, we want to do many things. I want to do this, I want to do that. But if I'm not able to act upon it, then I miss out. So all my learners feel I want to learn English, I want to be good at English, but how much of effort that I put into my language? How much do I dedicate at time? So I tell my learners in my community, it's very important that you dedicate 10 minutes a day where you learn and apply the language. If you are able to do that consistently every day, I think many of our challenges can definitely be overcome. So these are the three predominant challenges that is on top of my head to just share with.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing it. I could totally resonate with all the three things that you have shared. You know, that there's always a fear within us that will I be misunderstood, even if we know how to say it, what to say, in what politeness or, rudeness we need to say. So that's the first thing that you talked about. The next thing that, of course, the next two challenges that you were able to, pick out, that identifying the challenge also becomes a role to see whether in which thing are you actually lacking, and actually devoting 10 minutes per day to read and apply the language was also something that we all can take as a bulb on moment from you. Like, my next question to
Thank
you
you.
is, when somebody is learning this, like somebody is learning about the English communication language, this language, so they may also judge themselves, because sometimes when it comes to practicing, they might get this self criticism that I am not perfect. The point that you also spoke and mentioned in the first answer, that there's always a sense of perfectionism in us. So how to actually deal with this? And can you tell our viewers that it's okay to make mistakes in whatever things you are learning, and especially if it's a language, it's going to take some time. So just throw some light on it.
Absolutely. So coming to the aspect of how can I practice? Okay, as I shared in the first response, the first thing is that you need to believe that you are learning a foreign language and it's okay to make mistakes. And the most important thing is that I need to dedicate that time to practice. Very important, right? So I tell people, now let's say, for example, if I've identified speaking is my challenge, I'm not fluent in my speaking, I'm able to write beautifully, I'm able to understand English content, but I'm not able to speak fluently. So I tell people the best way to work on your fluency is to start speaking in English. Suppose if you're a student, exercise the language with your classmates. That the fear is always for us, oh my god, if I talk in English, what will people think of me, right? They will mock me. Especially students have this fear. So I think you have to start exercising, communicating conversational English with your classmates. If you're a working professional, you cannot come onto a call or a client pitch or a client escalation call and speak in English all of a sudden. It doesn't happen. So where can I put it to practice? With my peers, with my colleagues, right? So it's very important that I start using the light, because you can make mistakes there and nobody is going to really make you feel intimidated, right? So it's very important that you connect with your peers, connect with your classmates, connect with your family members. I'm sure you have cousins, you have your parents support. Now and then, yeah, we do predominantly speak in our mother tongue, but it's important that we exercise the language. So that's for speaking. Now when it comes to understanding English, many people have this problem, is Loretta, yeah, I'm able to speak, but I'm not able to understand. I'm not able to comprehend the accent. So I tell people, we all love binge watching Netflix and Amazon Prime. I said, watch movies. When you watch movies, I tell them remove the subtitles. Why? Because if you're going to watch the subtitles, you become an ace reader. You don't become a person who listens, right? If you look at all our parents and all of them, they're able to converse in English to some extent because they were used to the radio, listening to English news on the radio, right? They did not have subtitles at all. So their auditory senses were enhanced. So for us as non-native speakers, it's very important that you listen to something in English. And what is it that you would listen? Not anything and everything. You listen to what interests you. For example, if you are interested in, let's say, sports, listen to commentaries. Listen to what people say of cricket or football or any match in English, right? Or if you are interested with motivational speeches, listen to podcasts in English. So listen what attracts you, what you are familiar with, right? I remember, part of my journey challenge was I hated reading. And you know why? Because when I was small, they used to say, library reading time is so important. And there were these huge books given for Sydney Sheldon and whatnot. I was like, oh no, come on. But if I was given something to read of my own interest, then I'm sure I would have loved reading, right? So it's very important that you spend time reading, listening to whatever is of your interest. Because two things happen. One, you learn the language, and another is you tend to get to learn something of your topic in your subject, and that makes it attractive, right? So that's how you tend to practice ongoing with the language, with a foreign language that you trust. That answers that question.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for breaking it down because, while you were sharing, I went back to my time when I started this journey. So basically, during COVID, it was like a good time also for me because I started learning a lot of things. And at the same time, it was a time when I was going through my mental health issues. So what I used to do was, I wanted to improve my communication skills also. So my father always recommended me to, learn this language, like get better in this language by watching English movies. So I started watching English animated movies. I started listening to a lot of TED talks in English, and that's when it
Beautiful.
all started to improve. So that's when I could, just reflect back and, went back to my journey of how I got better into communication. Awesome.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Nice to hear from someone who has already implemented what I'm talking about. So viewers, whoever's watching, I'm sure you can take this tip, live example. Thanks, Gargi. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
amazing. So, like, my next question to you is, when it comes to practicing, so is it like what practice can we actually adopt? Like, do we need to practice with a group? Do we need to join any speaking club? Do we need to join any mentor? Or how can we also start practicing with ourselves if somebody is not open to the option of joining any speaking club?
Yeah, beautiful. So one thing that I always recommend to people is any mastery happens only when there is a coach, right? I learned that at this age, I am learning that and I'm experiencing. Okay, my confidence in empowering people in India, I'm able to do that only because of my coach Siddharth. Because when you follow someone, you're guided. Otherwise, what happens is all knowledge is right before you, and you do not know what to choose, right? Sometimes I visit various websites and various YouTube channels. There is so much. And at that time, I wonder if somebody is able to guide and say, okay, watch this program, or, this is the podcast that is going to help you. That is the only reason that you need a mentor or a coach when it comes to mastery. You can be an independent learner. Yes, you will have a wide knowledge, but your knowledge acquisition becomes more structured and more powerful when you have somebody to guide you, right? So that is one thing at the outset. I would say, if you think I can learn a language by myself, it is possible. But if you want to see results, because it's always important, somebody is able to guide and say, you have come this far in the language acquisition, right? Or these are the corrections you need to do. And that is why I think mentors and coaches in our life really make an impact. So that is one thing that I would say. But apart from that, if you say, no, no, Loretta, I definitely want to do it by myself, then I would advise that, go for again, movies that can help you to acquire language, because some of us love to learn the language not the grammar way. Some of us are so stuck up with structures. I wouldn't advise that. Then English becomes a bore. So take two conversations, or take two entertainment programs, or take two talk shows, TED Talks, where there is English available. And the more you, okay, let me share this, a tip that I can share with all of you. Always understand that the more you listen to in English, the better you speak in English. The more you read in English, the better are you able to write in English. So that is the link between the four skills in English communication. So if you want to do something independently, and if you've identified which skill you need to work on, then you need to identify what is it that I need to do more often. So if I'm going to listen to English more often, I will be able to speak better. If I'm going to read more often, I'm going to be able to write better. So there it goes. That's how you take it forward.
Love that one moment that like to write better we need to read more and
Yes,
more, and to speak better we need to listen more and more. But I have a question here that today our retention rate is so less that our listening skills, people's listening skills are very poor. Like many of the most of the
very
people
true.
I've seen, that they are not willing to listen, and the patience is not there in many people. So actually, how to work on this listening skill? Because I think communication, more than speaking, it's also about listening to somebody who is speaking to you. So actually, how to start improving that listening part?
Okay, great. So one thing that I suggest to people is, we live in an instant world. We like instant Maggie noodles, instant coffee. Everything is instant, and that's where we find ourselves losing that element of patience, which is the virtue of all virtues. Sadly spoken, that we miss out on that. So how do you listen to something when you need to listen, right? I tell people, what topic that you watch grabs more of your attention? Identify that, right? Is it a reel, or is it a long form content on YouTube? Or is it something where, I'm good with reading posts of people? So I want you to identify, where do you spend more time there? The moment you identify where your time is being spent, that is your aspect of attraction. So if you're able to identify that, then you could start listening to that particular topic more in a focused manner. And I would say, no effort, no results. My spouse always tells, where effort goes, result shows, right?
Yes,
So I feel, if you want to master something, you need to take that discipline part of, because it is you, at the end of the day, you're taking care of yourself, and you're empowering yourself. That's why I say, when you empower yourself, you empower others. So identify what attracts you, and give that attention required in that particular area of learning, and you will be able to take it forward, guys. Trust
I
I've answered that
yes.
question.
Yes, you have totally answered it. Thank you so much for all the simplification that you are using. That like I've always heard, where the energy go, where the focus goes, the energy flows. But this was something new, that where the effort goes, the result will always show. So great. Thank you so much for this bulb on moment. My next question to you is, like any three tips to effectively communicate and practice? Like, although you have shared a lot of it, but any last three tips, the like that people can just go and implement?
Yeah, great. So what I could leave with you, the three tips is the first thing is I would share that if you want to master English communication, expose yourself to English content. Yeah, you need to be exposed. You need to be in the environment of English content. Very, very important. So ask yourself, am I in 24 hours of the day, if I'm very particular to master the language, how much of time am I really spending in an environment where there is English, right? So spending your time, they say, right, when iron fillings are stuck to the magnet for a long time, the iron fillings become magnetized. So if I want to acquire this English language, it's important I expose myself to the English language. If I'm constantly watching anything in my regional language and I desire to master the language, I'm so sorry, that is not going to be possible. Okay, first, exposition to the language is very, very important. The second tip that I would like to say is reduce the rate of speech whenever you're speaking in English, right? Very important. People get to understand you. Some of us would be knowing the language and we would be speaking in the rate of speech of the regional language. The most surprising thing is we speak 200 words per minute on an average in our regional language, right? But English is 150 words per minute. So in other words, you need to reduce the rate of speech. So that is something that you can really work on. Like whenever we speak, we tend to reduce. We don't race. We don't have to race with our thoughts and speak whatever comes to our mind, right? And the third tip that I can leave with you is get to the desire of reading anything and everything that's around you in English.
Yes.
Don't be particular to, hold on to a novel, a poster, right? Or it could be a pamphlet. You go to a clinic, you got a pamphlet there, read that. And as you're reading, you come across a difficult word, don't stop and check your dictionary. What is the meaning of the word? Trust me, you will hate reading. I do not want that for you, right? It's okay. You don't know the meaning of the word, continue reading. Read the first sentence, read the second sentence, read the sentence above and below, and over a period of time, you will decipher the meaning. And you'll be surprised that you are able to figure out the meaning. So don't stop when you come across new words, because I find that with most of our learners, they are put off with reading because they have words where they don't know the meaning. So the tip that I can leave with you is read the line before and read the line after. Try to guess the meaning. Otherwise, read the whole paragraph. You will come to the meaning. And once you finish the article, you will fairly enough know what that word means to you. So these three things you can try out just offhand when it comes to, enjoying the language.
Yes, amazing. Thank you so much, because it's not only learning, learning has to be fun. And the this podcast, I think this is like my second podcast on the basis of English communication. So thank you so much for sharing it and making it so fun and like interesting, so that people can just go and
Pleasure.
implement. My last question to you is, if anybody wants to connect with you, so how can they? And if you have a workshop, then you can share about it.
Hello, am I
Uh,
audible?
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah. Great, great, great. That's Sanil. So the ways that you can connect with me, one would be my Instagram handle, which is learning, LEARNENG. It's not ING, it's learn English. So it's combined together, learning with Laura. That's my handle. Or you can connect, or also you can join the Learning Hub on Facebook. You can search for the Learning Hub and you can join my community, and we can see how we can take it forward.
Yes, so all of you, now your action step is that this was not even a trailer. She's creating her own world in the way that she's creating her impact. So all of you just like all the links are there in the description below. So just go there, follow her everywhere, connect with her, have a clarity call, like join her community, because I think learning a language takes time, patience, and perseverance, and this journey can always get easy better with a community and a coach. So here's your coach, the English communication expert. So thank you so much, Loretta ma'am, and also do share your key takeaways in the comments below so that we know what were your biggest key takeaways. And as my mentor always says, that learning plus not knowing plus not implementing equals to not knowing. So out of it, even if you are implementing one thing, that's enough. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, everyone, and thank you so much, Loretta ma'am, for being here on the show.
Thank
It's
you
such a
so much.
amazing podcast.
Thank you, Gargi. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure being around with you. Yeah, thank you so much.
Amazing.
Really, really love it. Thank you,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much. Take care.